Once your mind turns against you, you will see death seems much better than life. How much are you willing to invest? How much are you willing to strive is the question. This is a civilization which is about raising the human being to their peak potential. Even gods came to consult the sages and seers, as the legends speak. Experientially, people are feeling empty, people are feeling lonely, people are feeling lost. People need variety of assistance. These days, a lot of chemical assistance. To be healthful, you need chemicals. To be peaceful, you need chemicals. To be joyful, you need chemicals. To be blissful, you need chemicals. To be ecstatic, of course there are chemicals. This is not just a land of devotees. This is a land which is mixed with science and devotion. The same sages were mystics, they were devotees, they were mathematicians, they were musicians, they were scientists. Because knowledge and self-knowledge were not discriminated. Nobody was foolish enough to think, just knowing how to handle the outside will make our life good. People were wise enough to know that as we handle the outside, we need to learn to handle the inward journey also, otherwise we'll have everything and we'll have nothing. What Shiva means is, what Adiyogi means is, that there is a science and technology. As there is a science and technology for external well-being, there is a science and technology for inner well-being. If you make use of this, you will determine the nature of your experience. If you determine the nature of your experience, definitely, you would make it the highest level of pleasantness, or you would be in nameless ecstasies every moment of your life. That's how life is supposed to be. As your survival instinct goes down, if you do not consciously attend to this will go crazy. In the next 15 to 20 years, it's possible almost everywhere in the world, there will be free basic income for everyone. That means bread is free. That means survival is taken care of. So a lot of scientists are estimating, when survival gets taken care of, that people don't have to work for a living, then they say at least 40% of the people may become alcoholics or drug addicts. Another 20 to 25% could become mentally ill. And 20%, 15 to 20% may do tremendous things, wonderful things, because there is no concern for bread. And another 15 to 20%, somewhere between 12 to 20%, could commit suicide. Between 2045 to 2055, I'm telling you, these are things which are spoken by responsible scientists. It is just that it's not out in the news because there is no absolute to this, but we are heading in this direction. They're saying between 2045 to 2055, 20% of the world's population could commit suicide. Why on a day like this am I talking about suicide? Is simply because that's one thing that should not happen, because that's one thing that we cannot recreate. Life is one thing that we cannot recreate, we have no business to take it. But if your mind turns against you, once your mind turns against you, you will see death seems much better than life. This is the nature of your mind. So if you want to ensure what is the nature of your experience, you have to turn inward, engineer this a little bit. Because if you do not engineer this the way you want, whatever you may have in the world, a bag of misery follows you no matter where you go. Is just being joyful, peaceful or blissful is the goal of life? No, no, no. If you are soaked in blissfulness, then this life will blossom to its fullest potential. You can explore the full depth and dimension of what it means to be a human being only when there is no fear of suffering, only when you are soaked in bliss. When every cell in your body has become pleasant, you have no concern about yourself. Or in other words, you might have taken up 1,000 concerns in your life, but you are never the concern. You may have 1,000 issues in the world, but you are never the issue. You may be handling many problems on a daily basis, but you are not the source of that problem. This much if you ensure, then this life will blossom into a different possibility.
Namaskaram everyone. Now after listening to Sadhguru in this video, we surely have come to know about the world scenario, that what is happening, what has already happened and what is going to happen, not just in India but all around the world. Well, Sadhguru in many of his darshans has clearly revealed that all this is happening simply because we have not realized the immensity of being human. But the physical body is a fantastic stepping stone for higher possibilities, but for most people it functions like a roadblock. The compulsions of the body do not allow them to go forward. But apart from all these, if you just depend on predictions, that means you are running away from taking the responsibilities. So, if you realize the immensity of being a human being, then you won't only predict, you would create. Being in sync with the very nature of our existence is an important part of balance and receptivity, a means of taking the body to a point where it no longer is a hurdle. So, to deal with all these mental conditions that is going to happen, or say that has already happened to a much larger extent, if we become in tune with the very nature of our existence, then it can't affect any one of us. The repetitive nature of the cyclical movement or systems that we traditionally refer to as samsara is a necessary stability for making the life. If it was all at random, it would not be possible to house a steady life-making machine. So, for an individual person, being rooted in the cyclical nature is the firmness and steadiness of life. There are many sadhanas being done, and their sole purpose is to break the cycles so that there is no more compulsiveness and you all have right kind of foundation for consciousness. And among all the Hatha Yoga practices and other sadhanas, one of the most important and yet very basic sadhana is Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya, that is being taught in inner engineering. One of the most basic sadhana that is being taught in inner engineering. Now, in word Shambhavi Mahamudra, the word mudra literally means a seal, that is, you lock it. In today's world, more than ever, the biggest problem that human beings have is the dissipation of energy, because our sensory system is stimulated more than ever before in the history of humanity. For example, in earlier times, if we would like to see the sunrise or the sunset, we would have to wake up early in the morning or wait for the evening to see the sunrise or sunset. But today, if someone wishes to see sunrise or sunset just now, they just have to take out their mobile phone and they can see a tremendous amount of colors along with sunrise and sunset. So, the amount of sensory input that you are taking in is like never ever before. That is why Mahamudra, because it is a seal. Once you put the seal and lock it, your energies will divert themselves in a completely different manner and a completely different direction that you can't even imagine of. Rarely does any practice blow up people right from the day one as Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya does. This is simply because if you apply the Mahamudra right, your own energies are turning in the direction that they normally never do. Otherwise, your energies dissipate in direction in various sensory inputs. The reason why today people are unhappy or unhealthy or simply feeling lonely is that their physical or the mental and their pranic body, that is Anamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha and Pranamaya Kosha, are not in alignment. If they all become properly aligned, a natural expression and overwhelming expression of joyfulness will naturally happen within each and every human being. Shambhavi Mahamudra is one of the most powerful practices taught in inner engineering that looks at technology of keeping all these three bodies, that is Anamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha and Pranamaya Kosha, constantly aligned so that the joyfulness is not an accidental happening. Joyfulness becomes the normal condition and a natural way of living that for us. Along with all these, there are many researches being done on Shambhavi Mahamudra, details of which I have already talked in several of my videos, link of which I have already given in the description. Well, in this video, let's take a brief look at the results of some of the main key studies. Well, today in this video, let's have a look at some of the results of some of the key studies. A study from Center for Biomedical Engineering, IIT Delhi, looked at EEG, that is electroencephalography data from practitioners' brain before, during and after practicing the Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya. The result clearly shows that the practitioners experience a greater level of coherence between the right and the left hemispheres of the brain. The EEG coherence is known to be the measure of the well-connectedness of the various regions of the brain. Higher coherence indicate that there is a greater exchange of information between various regions as well as improved functional coupling and coordination. Higher level of coherence are also correlated to higher scores of IQ and creativity test as well as emotional intelligence and cognitive thinking. The researchers also measured signals at various prominent EEG spectral bands, that is known as alpha, beta, delta and theta. Shambhavi practitioners were seen to have higher alpha band powers in general, indicating that they experienced lower stress levels. Also, there was a high increase in delta band power and theta band power and a notable reduction in beta band power. A reduction in beta band power indicates that there is a reduced susceptibility to mental tension, excitement and anxiety. Higher theta and delta activity have been noted in previous research is indicative of conscious access to deeper states of meditation. Delta rhythms combined with alpha are known to reflect an inner intuitive empathetic radar, a kind of sixth sense. The researchers, they clearly noted it down. Along with all these, two studies published in 2008 and 2012 examined how Shambhavi Mahamudra supported cardiac health. The study showed that participants had a more well-balanced cardiac autonomic nervous system and an overall increase in heart rate variability during the practice. A higher heart rate variability has been linked to better immunity to stressful situations and is said to bestow a greater survival advantage on individuals. The researchers also conclude that the practitioners of Shambhavi Mahamudra and other Isha Yoga practices have higher exercise tolerance, better cardiac response to stressful situations, low probability of undergoing hypertension of cardiac troubles such as ischemia and infarction. Not only this, one of the research on the DNA of Shambhavi practitioners shows that after 90 days of practice, you are 6.4 years younger at the cellular level than what you are right now. All these have been properly established by responsible scientists, and I have talked about it in detail in my video. I will give the link in the description and I highly recommend you to watch those videos. Also, I'll give the link to the publications that are being published for this Shambhavi Mahamudra. You can go to the link and just read about all the experiments done in Shambhavi practitioners. And above all, the unique dimension of Shambhavi is the level of calmness that multiplies manifold while the brain is still active. So at last, winding up the video, essentially the human problem is just this, that they're experiencing their possibilities as problems. To enhance the possibility and still not become a problem with it is the uniqueness of Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya. So if you wish to join inner engineering, this is a very good time for you to prepare yourself. I've given the link in the description. If you wish to join, go click on the link and register yourself for the Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya or inner engineering. And at last, hope you loved the video and found it meaningful. If yes, do not forget to give it a like, share and subscribe, and please share this with as many people as you can so that this information reaches to majority of people. And also do not forget to watch all these videos which are appearing right there on your screen. These are highly recommended for you. And so now, up to next, stay safe, healthy, happy, and namaskaram.